What is going on, everyone, and welcome to another fire episode of Believe in the Houston Texans. I am one part of your show, Ruben Calvillo, joined as always by my co-host Harley Dugan, and we have a special guest. The first time we get a Believe co-worker. Shout out to Mr. Lawrence Owen. Believe in Colts. Colts Law. How's it going?
I'm doing well, man. Hope everything's going well on your end.
Yeah, we're expecting a good game on Sunday. Or, over here in Houston, we are feeling pretty confident going into Sunday. Harley, how you feeling?
I am. I would say that I'm feeling confident too.
Okay.
I feel like maybe Colts and Texans are both feeling pretty good about themselves in the
Mm.
performances of Week 1.
Yeah, and Mr. Lawrence, question: Week 1 in the books. Shane Steichman, new head coach. Anthony Richardson, new quarterback. How do you feel on their performance against the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Well, it's a learning curve
Mm.
for both the new coach and the quarterback. Obviously, they still got a lot to learn, get used to each other, understand the strengths of. See, the head coach has got to get understand the strengths and weaknesses of each player, each position group.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Richardson is still kind of learning the NFL, and you guys understand, right? The quarterback's got to learn the NFL. He's got to learn the team. He's got to learn all this stuff plus the playbook, plus a bunch of other stuff. So there's a massive learning curve when you got
Mm-hmm.
a new head coach and a new quarterback the same year. But from what I saw from week one, I feel like you know what they're really striding in a positive direction, and I can't wait for the rest of this season to unfold, especially this Sunday against the Houston Texans.
Mm. And are you missing Jonathan Taylor? Because when I look at the stats right here, no other running back had over 20 yards. Your leading rusher was Anthony Richardson. That's one of the reasons why we're feeling good going into Sunday, man. But listen, JT on the field is a monster, man. I think y'all probably would have maybe the game's a different outcome with Jonathan Taylor there.
Well, I doubt we had two fumbles last week if Jonathan Taylor was out there.
Mm,
But yeah, you're absolutely on the nose. I mean, most Colts fans, even if they were on the fence about Jonathan Taylor, holding in or whatever it is that's going on, after watching the game this past Sunday, just sign him, get him
mm,
on here, get him out here. We need that. When you have arguably a top three running back in the league, right? You don't let him go. Let him go out there and perform. So yes, we are missing a playmaker as
mm.
dynamic as Jonathan Taylor.
For sure. And before we move on to Harley, I got a question for you. What would you grade Anthony Richardson's performance against the Jaguars? Me and Harley, we both gave CJ Stroud a C plus against the Baltimore Ravens. What are you thinking about Anthony Richardson?
That's funny you asked that because
Mm,
literally 5 minutes before I came on here, I dropped my grades for every
okay.
position group on Twitter,
Mm,
and I gave the quarterback room a B minus.
mm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we were thinking C plus, B minus. We were going against the Ravens. You guys
Mm-hmm.
going against the Jaguars, two very good offenses, but we were very encouraged by what we saw from CJ Stroud. Obviously, you were very encouraged by what you saw from Anthony Richardson. Harley, turn it over to you as we are getting ready for week 2 against the Indianapolis Colts. Home opener here in H-Town. The first time Houston Texans fans see D'Amico Ryans, CJ Stroud, Will Anderson Jr. How are you feeling?
Hyped, man. I mean,
Mm,
we're excited. We're going crazy. We've been foaming at the mouth for a competent football team for the last 2 years. It's been a train wreck over here in Houston, and it finally feels good to have all the buzz, all the hype, everything you want to say about us getting D'Amico Ryan's the home run. Getting trading up for Will Anderson, pick 2, pick 3 is CJ and Will Anderson. We could you could dissect how much you agree or disagree with it, but it's exciting. And that is something that has not been synonymous with the Houston Texans. So yeah, we're going crazy over here in H-Town, going wild. And maybe we're licking our fingers a little bit, looking at the Colts, man. We're a little too excited. Who knows?
I mean, this is probably one of the most exciting times, to be a Texans fan. Lawrence, how was the energy, in week one against the Jags? Like from the fan base, right? Because I kind of saw us and the Colts in the same boat. New head coach, new quarterback, new system, all that. Like we just need to be happy that we're trying to right the ship. But when you see a performance like Anthony Richardson, a touchdown on the ground, a touchdown through the air, CJ shot without 3 linemen, um, no interceptions, right? Going against a very good Baltimore Ravens defense, it's hard not to get encouraged by these rookie performances.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you watch a game and your rookie quarterback doesn't play for the Carolina Panthers, then you should be excited, right?
Shout out to Bryce.
But yeah, sitting here watching everything, and obviously, you guys, you were on the road in Baltimore, harsh environment when it comes to the fans and things of that nature, and your quarterback performed admirably in that situation. So I feel like, we had the home game. Our fans were there. It was really hyped, really loud. I expect probably the same thing in Houston, right? With your home opener, I think it's going to be absolutely dramatic and over there. And it'll be fun to watch. It'll be fun to watch from a Colts fan perspective as well.
And Harley, I asked you before I asked Mr. Lawrence the same question. How big is this game? Because to me, it's very huge. Two new franchises are trying to turn the next page. I've already said this multiple times. New head coach, new quarterback. But this is a division rival. The Texans and the Colts go back years. Our wars against Peyton Manning, our wars against Andrew Luck. I freaking hated that guy.
Wars.
Well, yeah, wars, right?
with
Wars, But oh damn, man, dude, Mr. Lawrence, quite honestly, I hate the Colts, man. It's just like, what was it on that when we played them on Christmas Day when we were 0-15, and the Colts. I mean, you blow it,
Every team has their kryptonite team that they have, an issue with. It is with every league. The Colts have a problem with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. We haven't beaten them in Pittsburgh since the 1950s.
Jesus.
I mean, come on. Right. Last time we beat the Steelers, period, was Peyton Manning was quarterback.
Jeez.
All right. So it's been a while. So every team has that situation. I'm surprised you named Andrew Luck when T.Y. Hilton was the guy during that phase that kind of was used to having big games, especially in NRG, right?
It's because it was disrespectful, right? You were the clown mask.
Yeah, the clown mask.
After J. Joe calls you out and you go off for what, 112, 115? Nah, T.Y. Hilton. Okay, I was at the game where Case Keenum's first start. The Texans were like 0-8 coming off the bye week. 3 Andre Johnson touchdowns. Andrew Luck fed it to T.Y. Hilton. We could not stop him. Last year, week 18, number 1 overall pick in our hands, beat the Indianapolis Colts. I bet you it's like some of my harsh moments as a fan have came against the Indianapolis Colts. But I go back to you, Harley. What does this week 2 matchup mean, given the fact that it is against the Colts and it's a division match?
Division match really is what is the bottom line here. We play each other twice a year, but this is a huge one, man. Week 2, both teams are, I would say, coming off encouraging performances from their quarterbacks. And so now we're getting into it like, okay, we're confident. They're confident. We both think that maybe we could take a W out of this. And it's like, hey, this is very, very important long-term viewpoint. Right now, both 0-1 per se, but I mean, there's a whole season to go ahead. So, hey, I'm excited for it. There's games on both of our schedules that I assume, we're trying to chalk up a dub here and there. Maybe we can steal a game here, These are games that, you look back at and you go, man, should have had that game in Indy. Man, should have had that game in Houston. And that's what's really the importance here. So yeah, the importance is always the bottom line issue when it comes to a divisional team.
And Mr. Lawrence, what does this game mean for the Colts?
Well, I don't care if you're a Houston Texans fan or an Indianapolis Colts fan. No one wants a replay of week 1 of last year. No one wants to walk out with a tie,
Let's
right?
do it.
That left a nasty taste in everybody's mouth, did it not? I mean, come on. So yes, you hit it right on the head. Divisional game. These games count twice, right? When it comes to standings, somebody's going up a notch, someone's going down a notch in the standings in the division, and that right there makes it incredibly important. Every divisional game is very, very important. But what's most important, I feel like, is you want to keep your team healthy, right? No one wants to see their rookie quarterback get hurt in a game, right? That not only does that hurt the team overall, but it would hurt the development of that rookie quarterback as well. And honestly, I truly hope that this is a good game on both sides. I honestly would rather see a 24-21 game between the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans than one team score 40 and another team score 3. Okay. I would much rather see that, because at least then, whoever's losing could still feel good about their team. Whoever wins is still feeling good about their team. Right. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
And it's like, even though I'm confident, right? I look at this Colts defense. Zaire Franklin had 18 tackles last week. Shaq Leonard tackled for loss, 8 total tackles. DeForest Buckner sack. Kwity Paye a sack. Can you let the Houston Texans fans know about this Indianapolis Colts defense?
The Indianapolis Colts defense may have the best front seven in the league. In the league.
All right. I want to hear.
Yeah, their defensive line is devastating. I mean, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart are nasty combination. Maybe the best 1-2 punch in football at tackles positions. When you got a guy like Zaire Franklin and Shaquille Leonard at linebacker, that's a heck of a combination also. Both these guys have led the team in tackles, 1 year and then another year. So yeah, the front seven is very, very good, very deep, got a great rotation. There's question marks about the secondary. Very inexperienced. And I mean, inexperienced doesn't necessarily mean bad, doesn't mean good. It just means inexperienced. I thought they played very well for, two guys out. Both of our outside corners are in their second year. One's undrafted, one is a 7th round pick. Right. And I thought they played pretty good against a Jacksonville Jaguars offense that, let's face it, that Jaguars offense is very loaded, right, across the board, especially in the passing game. And they allowed less than 250 yards passing. So I'd say that that's not too shabby at all. That is the strength of this team. The defense by far is the strength of this Indianapolis Colts team. So
yeah, no, and it makes me worried because the Houston Texans will still be without 3 starting offensive linemen, no left guard, no center. George Fenn, right tackle, was questionable, but he did practice today. So it is going to be a tough go against this Indianapolis Colts defense. But Harley, I'll turn it over to you. Who do you need to see ball out from the Texans if they want to win against the Colts on Sunday?
We're talking about the offensive line. I mentioned yesterday, Ruben, I think we were pretty high on possibly getting this W against the Colts, but I mentioned that our offensive line and the injuries across it could very well be the main factor as to why we lose the game. And I know this Colts defensive line has been pretty solid ever since they had the DeForest Buckner trade. It's been just on the uphill every year, it seems like. But, I look at the injury report for the Colts, and maybe, Lawrence, you could shed some light on this. Quentin Nelson, Braden Smith, both didn't participate today. Texans fans are going, we don't wish injury, but DNP sure looks nice on a Wednesday when the game is Sunday. So, maybe you could shed some light for Texans fans on anything extra behind Nelson and Braden Smith there.
They'll both play.
What?
You got to remember, these are veterans,
Yeah.
and Wednesdays are generally rest days for veterans that maybe get a ding or two, right? They'll play. There's no question about it. They might have a ding here or there. They might have like a thigh bruise or something of that nature, and they're just giving the veterans a little bit of extra time to heal up without having to worry about going out there and getting through contact on a practice. But we've already discussed it. We talked with the head coach. They're fine. It's just mostly a rest day for those guys. So yeah, no hopefully expectations that our offensive line is just completely, wiped out here. I understand, that you're hoping for even odds on this situation, but not on this specific time. I mean, we have our own problems with, our running backs, Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor and all that. So,
yeah. To answer your question, Ruben, the Texans' defensive line was something that was eye-popping last week. Man, it was just fun to see a defense finally here in the Texans. It was fun to see number 51, Will Anderson. But not only him, Jonathan Grenard had himself a game too. We had contributions from Malik Collins as well as Sheldon Rankins. So collectively, the defensive line for the Texans seems much improved, especially going up against the Ravens team that's very good against the run. And that is something the Texans were head and shoulders last place against the run last year. I mean, head and shoulders above everyone else for last place. Lawrence, what do you think about 51 breathing down that quarterback's neck?
That's interesting, because that's going to be a heck of a matchup, right? Does he play mostly on weak side or strong side? Is he over the left tackle most of the time?
No, he's over the right tackle.
He's over the right tackle.
Which
so
would be Braden Smith.
He'll be going up against Braden Smith. That'll be
great.
Interesting because Braden Smith is a second team All-Pro. So he's pretty solid. It really depends. I'm more worried about up the gut than like wide pass rush because Anthony Richardson moves. He can move up into the pocket and take off, right? He can avoid pass rush from the outside. So again, how good did you see in this game? Bull rushes, inside spins, things of that nature where maybe, Mr. Anderson is able to get inside pressure rather than outside pressure.
It's a thing where DeMeco Ryans would he has no problem playing Will Anderson inside. Not obviously every single time. That's not where the brunt of the snaps are. But there are some times, I mean, we saw it in training camp, me and Ruben, where he did line up Will Anderson on the inside. He did it very seldomly against the Ravens, but it was fun to watch. And
it was that INT where put him over the right guard and almost sacks Lamar and forces an air throw. Steven Nelson picks it off.
And that's what we're talking about is, we contained Lamar Jackson pretty well, surprisingly, shocking to me. I didn't know that was possible against Lamar Jackson. He's one of the most unsackable quarterbacks in the NFL. So, now you're forcing Lamar to become a passer, which he's much improved in. I want to see Anthony Richardson do that. Can he do what Lamar Jackson do and be decisive and have some accurate throws and, make plays under pressure? This is a rookie quarterback. Yes, rookie team. Yes, rookie head coach DC, but I'm going to take DeMeco Ryans over Anthony Richardson there. Is that fair?
I mean, it is fair with the fact that, I would think that DeMeco Ryans can come up with some different defensive calls, ways to send blitzes that Richardson ain't used to seeing, disguise coverages, things of that nature that could confuse a young, inexperienced quarterback. But I will say that, Anthony Richardson was pretty decisive and pretty accurate last week, right? At halftime, he was 80% completion percentage. Finished the game at 65. That's not bad for, a rookie quarterback that only had 13 starts in college, right? Where everybody was saying, ooh, honestly, I think he's better at pocket passing. He wants to be a pocket passer. He stays in the pocket. He likes to throw. He's not that quarterback like a Lamar Jackson where you used to see when he was a rookie, where if it's not there or if he smells pressure from 3 blocks away, he's gone. He's not that kind of guy. He's always looking downfield, always looking to pass the football. So this will be a situation where I think you probably could be able to keep Anthony Richardson in the pocket and possibly collapse that. But you're like I said, you're going to want to get the pressure from up the gut with some of your tackles, maybe, right? Like with Sheldon Rankins or Collins or someone of that nature. Hopefully be able to get through some of the middle of the line to force AR outside to where then your defensive ends or your outside linebackers might be able to close in on the outside. So that's what I'm looking at overall.
I think one matchup that I am watching very closely, Michael Pittman Jr. against Derek Stingley. Because if we're going to really have Anthony Richardson beat the Houston Texans defense, someone's going to have to catch the ball for him. And I see 11 targets, 8 catches, 97 yards, 1 tutty. Fantastic performance in week 1. It's not going to happen in week 2. Derek Stingley, he is locked down last week against OBJ. 2 targets. His 1 catch was against Zay Flowers for 20 yards, and that is it. Derek Stingley has been locked down during training camp. And it's like us Houston fans, Lawrence, we are having a beef with the New York Jets, right? We took Derek Stingley in front of Sauce Gardner. Made us look bad last year winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, got cooked by Stephon Diggs on Monday night. But Derek Stingley, Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be a key matchup. How do you feel about those two going at it?
I think it'll be a good matchup. I think both of them are going to have wins and losses, right? There's going to be situations where I think Michael's a very physical wide receiver, right? He's not someone that you're going to expect him to burn Stingley down the field or anything of that nature. He's a guy who is a 50-50 ball catcher. He uses his body, his size, his hand strength to be able to out-muscle catches. He's more of a possession guy than anything else. Actually reminds me a lot of Andre Johnson, right? In that aspect. So, but honestly, when it comes to the passing game, I think the biggest threat the Colts have in the passing game as a receiving targets are the tight ends. I think the Colts are incredibly deep with very talented receiving tight ends. And that's a situation where don't overlook that, right? Don't overlook that. The Anthony Richardson has shown through preseason, through training camp, and in game 1 that he likes throwing to those tight ends a lot, right? Yes, Michael Pittman Jr. had a decent stat line in week 1, but the tight ends got a lot of looks as well.
Yeah, and when you look at the Houston Texans secondary, Jalen Petrie not practicing, Jimmy Ward not practicing. Those are guys that you want to go, against the tight ends against the Colts on Sunday. Harley, I turn it over to you, when I bring up those two being out. How big is that for this Houston Texans defense against the Colts?
Just like Lauren said, I mean, we're talking about the tight ends of the Colts. Jalen Petrie, Jimmy Ward, both of them guys are Jimmy Ward was a former cornerback, so he's very confident in coverage. Jalen Petrie has shown to be used confidently in coverage, not all the time. But the biggest thing with Jalen Petrie is D'Amico utilized him in blitzing situations, used him so close to the line of scrimmage, and that's where he found his success all the way going back to Baylor. So that's where I'm looking at. If Jalen Petrie's not playing and Jimmy Ward isn't playing, those two guys to me are your captains of this defense, are your,
Mhm.
the heart and soul really of this defense. They talk the most noise, they back up that trash talk continuously, and they're a really good ear for CJ Stroud as well, as we heard from DJ Bieniemy of Texans reporter earlier today, talking about their continuity on offense and defense. It's gonna be fun, man, because now you're looking at Eric Murray, MJ Stewart, and sure, they played solid for a second half against the Ravens, but now you're looking at a full game.
Mhm.
And maybe, okay, sure, they play good for, let's say, the first half. Colts can adjust, boom, done. MJ Stewart and Eric Murray are who we thought they were, and they're not, they're not Jalen Petrie and Jimmy Ward. No disrespect to them, but I appreciate D'Amico giving them that confidence in actually, Eric Murray has been looking really good actually under D'Amico Ryans, but I got to see more. And
Mm.
I'm not fully sold on the safeties, tight ends matchup, linebackers, tight ends matchup. I mean, we're going to have Henry To'oTo'o possibly be our starter and the Sam linebacker. So that's going to be fun. He had a really good game against the Ravens. But overall, I still got to see it translate. We only saw one game.
10 targets to 3 different tight ends. Mr. Lawrence was right. Anthony Richardson loves himself some some T's. But as we end this fire episode of Believe in the Houston Texans, thank you for joining us. We're also joined by Mr. Lawrence from Believe in the Colts. Now, before we end, Mr. Lawrence, heading into Sunday, how are you feeling? Drop a prediction. If you want to drop a final score, it's okay. We won't get hurt.
No.
How are you feeling week 2?
I'm not going to drop final score yet until I see tomorrow's injury report for both teams. That's the real injury report that I like to see is the Thursday. Not even the Fridays. The Thursdays is most important to me. See where guys with concussions, things of that nature, where they're headed. But one of the biggest key matchups, in my opinion, that's going to determine this game is you guys didn't even talk about, and that's going to be Robert Woods against one of our young cornerbacks, right? That's going to be a huge matchup, in my opinion, and he could prove to be a danger. Between him and Pierce, obviously, Pierce, you got to respect what that man can do. On the ground, through the air, whatever. I really like him as a running back. The Colts, they do have a very good run defense, but at the same time, I've seen Pierce make really good run defenses look bad. So at times, this is a situation of really who wants it more, right? That's the thing. Two teams that haven't won a game yet, going into the week 2 divisional matchup. Who's going to want it more down there at NRG? So, me personally, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. In all honesty, between both these teams, I think the defenses are both pretty good overall. I know that you're suffering some injuries in the secondary. You're suffering some injuries across your offensive line. The Colts obviously have issues with youth at their secondary, and then, of course, the injuries at their running back position. So we both are dealing with injuries and or youth at that situation. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't think that either team is going to, win by more than 2 touchdowns. I think it's going to be fairly close. Right? Could even come down to a final drive field goal. You never know.
That's how they play each other, man.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't drop my final score, like I said, until tomorrow, though. But I just hope that for a really good game, and there might be some yards. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring. That's how I look at it. I think Robert will be able to, between the 20s, I think Robert will get a lot of yardage there. I think Pierce will get a lot of yardage between the 20s. But the Colts defense, very, very stingy. I think they stopped the Jaguars offense on 4th down 4 different times.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I'm glad you brought up Robert Woods because in
yeah.
short yardage on third downs, 32, 35,
Mm,
34, they all went to him and he converted them. Big play,
mhm.
his Houston Texans debut. So if we find ourselves in short yardage situation because the Houston Texans were third and 13, third and 21, third and 16, it's kind of hard to get something going.
Yep.
But Harley, how you feeling? Couple of days away.
I'm feeling good actually
Mm,
because we're talking about the secondary for the Indianapolis Colts, how young it is, and we didn't even enter number 3, Mr. Tank Dell, who CJ Stroud loves, has a growing confidence with Tank Dell, wanted him here in Houston, got him here in Houston, and now with Noah Brown going on to IR for 4 weeks, exit Noah Brown, enter Tank Dell, you are getting more snaps, and that is what's exciting for me as a Texans fan. We finally, none of the fans have really seen Lawrence.
mhm,
Nobody has really seen CJ Stroud to Tank Dell. We saw it in training camp, and it was electric. And the fans have not seen this yet. So I
Mhm.
am I am happy for the home opener to have CJ Stroud Tank Dell action. I'm hoping he gets some targets his way, some catches. Hope he makes a man miss or two. I am excited about this game, and I'm leaning towards my Texans, of course. I'm never gonna predict them to lose. I'm always gonna predict my Texans to go, unless that Ravens game, because that's just rough. But yeah, I am leaning, I am confident for my Houston Texans.
No, I feel good as well. Me and Harley before the season started, we said week 2 is our week 1. Look, this
Yeah.
game is big for both franchises, right?
Ugh.
If the Colts come in at NRG and beat the Houston Texans, who are led by head coach D'Amico Ryans, that will be so deflating to the city of Houston. The first big loss of this
Yeah,
offseason is to
it
start
would
the
be a
year.
rough one.
But if the Houston Texans win and you beat the Indianapolis Colts, the team that screwed you out of the first round pick last year, all vibes are up in H-Town. Mr. Lawrence, thank you so much. Believe in the Colts. Coach Law, he also put up a video about an hour ago. Coach Anthony Richardson film room with development, about 35 minutes worth of Anthony Richardson tape. Y'all go check that out. Mr. Lawrence, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Hey, I appreciate you reaching out and asking, man. Thank you a
Mhm.
whole lot.
Problem.
No, 100%. We want to try to get every, team that we play against, but you're the veteran, man. Thank you so much for coming on
Yeah,
here.
thank you.
Hopefully, we could do some more as the season and as the years goes on. Shout out to Believe for giving us an opportunity to talk about our favorite sports team, man. And go Houston Texans. Y'all have a very blessed day.